58 Romeo Delta. For airspace, when able, can you turn around back to the east or the northeast?
Beautiful.
I think what I want to avoid is ever getting into avoidable trouble.
119er.7.
Like being too ballsy or getting too comfortable. Knowing my limits, minimums.
2 o'clock, 1 mile southbound.
You know, it's funny, that's a...
Altitude indicates 800.
96 Echo, traffic in sight, thanks.
Some guys don't consider that an issue, you know, and I consider that an issue. You know, it's one of those things where, yeah, what are the limits, you know? Well, if you start scaring yourself, you know that is kind of a, that's where we start pushing the limit, not necessarily being bad, but if you're feeling comfortable, sometimes we got to kind of push that a little bit. But if you're downright freaking scared, you know, it's time to kind of figure out what kind of a mode you're in. I call it filing, and so if we're just, you know, if you're by yourself out playing and treating your airplane like an ATV,
Security 45, Roger, IFR cancellation
that's playing and treating your airplane like an ATV, which is a completely different type of flying than when you have, say, passengers. You know, when you have passengers in a small airplane, everything's, you know, nice and simple. You know,
I don't want to scare anybody. I want them to want to fly again.
Yeah, and so you know, even your flap selections and stuff like that. You know, you make sure that you don't like we were flapjacking the way I was. You and me, nobody gives a shit, right? But when you have passengers on there, any sort of quick movements, an airplane might scare them, and so there's these, you know, this thing out there about scaring your passengers and how fun that is. God, it just drives me crazy. So, okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go see how alive your feet are. Sound okay?
Yeah.
So pick yourself a nose, point out somewhere between there and over there, right? And we're at 2,000 feet. That's fine. So in this, we'll end up going up and down just a little bit. Okay. So if you want to take care of your airplane, we always recommend, especially with big light combing and stuff like that, you know, couple inches per minute or something like that, unless it's real hot out, to help keep from super cooling the airplane. So at that point, I just start pulling the throttle out a little bit and start slowing yourself down. Right?
It was for
kind of like you normally do, probably.
I think you said 8 Yankee, affirmative, 0145 on your squawk code.
Always a little nicer on the other side of Goose Bay.
Yeah, let's get on the other side.
The Super Cup calling, how do you hear me?
Super Cup 13 Yankee, squawking 0145 over figure 8 lake, 1,200.
Now when you're doing these maneuvers,
Charlie, we're looking for the traffic.
because normally if I was coming in for a landing, I would push everything in.
So you had the traffic in sight too.
Yeah, we'll do the same. Yep, we'll just do it just like a landing. So, you know, yeah. So push that in. There we go. And just keep on bringing it to idle, just like that. Okay.
Roger that.
And just slow the airplane up.
Stationary on floats coming off.
And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to help by kind of holding this just a little bit, you know, just so you can't use it. But go ahead and bring the airplane until we achieve airflow separation. Okay.
Number 909er Zulu, traffic 12 o'clock in a mile and a half, just east of the Cessna 170. They are northbound, altitude unknown.
The float plane down low.
Roger that.
Actually, I've got two. I've got one over me and one under me.
It's the one under you that I need you to see.
Okay, sounds good. Now just go ahead and just bring it right on back to an
One
idle.
more traffic for 09er Zulu is mid-channel in the
just
Merrill segment.
Just a bit.
They're just southeast of Sleeper.
Okay.
Trip 1 mile opposite direction.
I have control of the ailerons. You have control of the rudders. Isn't this fun so far?
Yes.
November 51 Charlie, one more.
Okay, bring that bad boy on right all back to an idle. Bring it right all back. Now, I'm going to help us achieve the airflow by pulling all the way back, right? Okay. And what I'm looking for is for you just to kind of look out the front of the airplane a little bit. Now look straight out the side.
1 mile turning southbound.
Right, say hi to the camera. Look straight out the back once and see if you can see the tail while you're doing this. Okay? All right. Very nice.
November 51
All right, go ahead and see if you can move the airplane to the right, to the nose just to the right, just a little bit. Okay? That's with no flaps on. This is all the way back, right?
51 Charlie, we're going into.
And that's because we don't have enough, there's not a lot of elevator authority in the elevator enough to get you past a critical angle of attack. Okay, now when we reattach the airflow, we always go forward, right? Bam, it's reattached. All right, let's go back up.
Heading into Merrill, just off your right side. Let Merrill Tower know that you've got them in sight. The traffic above you, opposite direction is no factor.
Of course, that goes away a little bit when you aft-load the airplane.
Thank you. You had a great evening. Thank you.
You too.
I noticed that happened to me on I think I was trying to do I think it was out of mud strip. And so I had like 0 elevator authority. And I thought it was because I took out everything, but I had pulled it all the way back, so there was no air moving over the elevator.
Number 281, what is your type?
And so there was nothing to work with, and I just landed hot.
You land hot, right? Because if you looked at the airspeed, we're up there above the white arc. If you put a little bit of weight in the back of the airplane, you'll actually fly the airplane in a little bit slower. Because it's already pre-positioned, putting a little weight back there to pre-position it.
I have some stuff, but it's only probably 40 pounds.
Yeah. That's a ball thing. It's also a pacer thing, but when we're doing training at pacers, I gotta have them put about 20 gallons of water in the back to start out, but they'll never freaking land the airplane. They're all over the place, so. In case you ever buy a pacer. Nope. Okay, go ahead and start backing her back off real nice. Now we're gonna do the same thing with full flaps, okay?
November 885, Anchorage approach, radio check, how do you hear me?
Okay. All right, just back her right on off to an idle.
What's your type aircraft?
And in the white arc, put all your drag in your aero beast.
November 906 Echo, say your type aircraft.
Okay. Back a little bit more, looking good. Super Cub. PA-18.
45, traffic over Mouth Little Sioux, westbound, Super Cub 1100, maintain.
All right, bring it right to idle.
Above 1,500 until you cross the shore.
All right, same thing.
Contact Anchorage approach 126.4. Take care.
All right, now we're going to see if we can get it to kind of stall itself out here a little bit.
Security 45.
So it's not going to stall for you in this configuration in a D-set because it doesn't have enough elevator. But we can trick it just a little by pushing down just a little bit, giving a little bit of zoom, and then pulling back
Number 1
to kind of get it up to help force it past that critical angle attack. Okay? Let me try it a little bit more. Try one, down just a little bit. Get a little zoom factor going on here, and then pull back nice.
Number 885, traffic 12 o'clock, mile and a half.
No dice, huh?
1,700 indicated, targets appear likely to merge, advise a turn to the east.
Can you feel yourself fighting that control yoke just a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead, recover.
Number 281,
we'll go back up.
It's for November 885, Sky.
You're pretty good at that.
12 o'clock, 1 mile, southbound, 1,700 feet indicated, targets appear likely to merge. Advise you continue that left turn to the west now.
Yeah, all right, we'll go back up to say, go up 1,000 feet. Now the reason I have you look out the sides and out the back is just to make sure you want to see what the airplane does when you do that. So when you're flying around, you're the type of guy that's looking out the side. Not straight out the front.
Just on the west side now, the Big Sioux.
On the way down to Saldoba the other day, I had to. It was the only frame of reference to the ground because I could see the mountaintops because of the smoke.
Because it's so smoke. Isn't it weird how you can look at the sides and you can look at the back of the airplane and know kind of where you're going versus because there ain't shit to see out the front.
Your VFR altitude is your discretion. You can continue to climb if you like. Sounds good.
All right, this time what we're going to do is we're going to go with a little bit of full flap, and we're going to try to stall the airplane with just a little bit of power on it because the air is going to go up over the top of the tail, or up over the top, and actually help push that down to help you achieve that critical angle attack and see what we get out of it. So go ahead and back her up. Put your, wait, hold on.
3 miles, westbound, altitude unknown.
So bring the nose up just a little bit, right? And this time, you'll kind of get used to doing this after a while, which you probably already are. And then add just a little bit of power. Just
1 mile.
Bring yourself up to, say, 15 inches of manifold pressure.
354 has traffic in sight.
Okay, now just kind of keep pulling back. And let's see how we're getting even slower yet. And that's because we have rudder authority. Now bring it right on back to the stall.
281, looking for traffic.
Okay, now just use your feet. Take a breath once in a while.
Traffic, no fact.
Okay. See how it's going to the left? Just add a little right rudder pedal. It's not going to give you much, is it? Well, let's go ahead and reconnect it.
90213 Yankee.
Okay.
Traffic
now,
no factor. Contact Lake Hood Tower.
But see how we're using our feet to kind of overcome some of that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go up and try it one more time, just a little bit. This time use about
November 96 Echo. Three
say
targets appear to be
14 inches of manifold pressure.
Coming up on Bell Island, just in the middle of Mouth of Big Sioux.
Okay, from right here, just go ahead and try not to use that elevator. Just use the feet. Okay.
All 47 Mike, traffic was passing behind you, no longer observed.
Traffic no fact, all 47 Mike.
Talks on the radio while stalling the airplane. That is awesome. All right, let me help you out here. Oh. Okay, go ahead and reconnect your airflow.
Your VFR descent approved.
Right.
Resume on
So you got
maneuver.
full right rudder on this airplane and it's going to the left. That tells me you might have just a smidge of a rigging problem. But other than that, okay, does that make sense though?
Yeah.
All right, so you learned a little bit about your feet, right? You learned quite a bit about your airplane. Probably knew it anyway, but no. Okay. All right. Okay, so you know. Go ahead and recover. And we could go wherever you want to go to play.
Let's go back.
Okay. So that is a big thing to do right there and get used to doing, is getting used to adding a little bit of power and bringing that airplane to, now the trick is when you're getting close to the ground is trying to find a happy medium in there to where you know you don't need the full right rudder. You just simply need, you know, a little bit of right rudder, and that's going to bring you right on down to your slowest airspeed, and you're going to smear everybody on those short field takeoff and landing contests that way, you know?
And November 281, confirm your call sign, November
Okay,
66281.
now, let's see you make a steep turn.
Affirmative 66281.
Maule 47 Mike, what's your full call sign?
Maule 6147 Mike.
Awesome, thank you.
Keep turn to the right. Clear to the right.
Okay, clear to the right.
Clear to the left.
November 87 Juliet, those three targets are now continuing eastbound, just passing the eastern shore mouth of Big Sioux.
Okay, while you're doing this, let's go ahead and slow the airplane right on down to about 80.
1.5 miles, same direction.
In the turn.
1,200 is a Super Cub.
87 Juliet, Super Cub at site, looking for those low traffic.
Number 87 Juliet, turn 10 degrees left until you get the Super Cub in sight. They're going to be just passing off your right side. You're going about 30 knots faster than them.
Hey, 87 Juliet, I got Super Cub.
Okay, when you feel good about that, let's roll into a left-hand
Number
turn.
87 Juliet, awesome, thank you. Resume navigation.
Clear to the left.
Super Cub 96 Echo, the traffic low level passing underneath you now, no factor. Additional traffic, so Cherokee coming up behind you. They've got you.
Okay, so go ahead and straighten out here, and we're going to try something else for you and see what you think, okay?
Okay.
All right, you're...
We walked for Cherokee, thanks.
All right, we're in the white arc.
885.
Go ahead and give yourself one-notch flaps.
Northbound 2,200
Okay.
is a Cessna 150.
Now go ahead and make your steep turn to the right.
Looking 885.
November 66281, traffic 9 o'clock,
Tight.
mile and a half, eastbound 2,400.
Tight and slow, or slower.
It's tight, but what else does it feel to you?
Deeper.
It feels steeper.
147 Mike, traffic 2 o'clock, 1 mile, southwestbound, the altitude is unknown, and I see you're in the turn now, the traffic's northeast of you.
Go roll out.
Looking for traffic northeast, full Maule 47 Mike.
And 47 Mike, one more traffic for you. Now that you've turned around, they're opposite direction along the shoreline, southwest of you, 2 miles, northeastbound, and the altitude is unknown.
Looking for that traffic too, Maule 47 Mike. We'll move further to the west here.
Okay, so remember that during some of the stall spin,
The 906 Echo, the Cherokee passing you.
some of the stall spin accidents we have are created from turning in and out of the So what I was looking for is just simply to see if when we slowed you down, if you put the flaps on the airplane. A lot of our boost stalls and what have you, low-level flying, could be prevented by going ahead and giving yourself some what I call roll protection, and that's by using a little bit of flaps. Anytime you're in the white arc, you know, we always think about flaps for taking off and landing. But where flaps are really good for is for turning the airplane and slowing the airplane down when the weather freaking sucks, right? Super Cub guys, I tell them that this screw on a Super Cub indicator, I call this the flap screw. Anytime you're below that, you should be having flaps on if you're maneuvering the airplane for sure. Because if you do when you get out here and you feel a little good, let's play with those flaps again. Just keep it around 70, something like that. Make a left-hand turn and a right-hand turn, and you'll feel that the airplane feels a heck of a lot more solid.
All right, clear to the left.
Right. Can you feel that? It's a little bit draggier, but it's...
Yeah, it feels tighter though.
It's tighter, yeah. It's just the airplane feels good, you know? So if you do that for... kind of get in the habit of doing that a little bit, that'll make you feel better as time goes on. Isn't that nice?
It is. What? Nicer than the other one.
Yeah, roll into a nice...
Maintains my altitude a little better too.
Yep, helps maintain, helps steady the airplane out. So that's something that we do in all airplanes all the way up to the... all the way up. Okay, good.
That's 147 anchor support to radar contact.
When you have flaps on like that, it just over, you know. Now the next thing I'd like to do is let's just run over to Goose Bay for a second. Sure. Let's run over to Goose Bay. You level your airplane and take your flaps back off. Okay.
Taxway 1049 heavy affirmative. Turn right heading 080.
Now when I was teaching the 135 guys, I told them, I said, you know, are you the type of guy? Ask yourself, you're the type of guy that'll save a landing, or the type of guy that's gonna try and go around if it's not looking good, okay? You're either one or the other.
I'm a go-around guy.
I'm a go-around guy myself. I judge all my guys on how they park in their parking spot. And if they're okay with comfortable making that go-around, okay? So in the interest of safety, we've covered turns. We've covered what your airplane is doing, because remember, if you're going down in a descent like this, and you've got the airplane kind of slowing the power off the airplane, most of those guys will go smoking into they'll repeatedly can't figure out why their landings are bad. It's because they don't have enough energy in the airplane to drive that tail down to, you know. So I tell them, the trick is to find out how many extra miles an hour you need to make that happen. Okay?
Okay. That's what I was doing over here, is I was coming down, I was leveling out well before where my touchdown was, and then kind of flaring and adding power to get that air movement over the elevator, so I could have that, at least to just kind of feather it in and then dropped it in, and it was even brilliantly, but I don't know if that is, I need more tools in my toolbox.
Okay. So what we'll do on here is we're going to try and settle this airplane down with a little bit longer final for you, okay? Anything with fabric on it, we should be running right around an 800-foot pattern, 800 foot above the ground pattern, which is 1,000 feet for you. If you're at 1,200 feet, that's good for in town or what have you. But when you're out here practicing on these strips, try it from 800 feet. If you go out to the gravel bars and stuff like that, you should be less than 500. And when you're less than 500, well, if you're on any of them, we always use the middle of the strut for a targeting device. You've heard that before, haven't you? Okay, so when you get home, the next time you come out, put a little piece of tape on that strut halfway, just measure it halfway. Put a piece of black electrical tape on it, and use that as a targeting device. Once you get used to using that, you will not feel comfortable at all unless you use that, and you can get rid of it so nobody knows what you're doing. When you fly a downwind, you should have that piece of tape right over the top of the runway, okay? Because when you're looking down, that thing should be right, the airport, does that make sense? You know, the airport should be underneath there? So that way, if you're lower, that's going to drive you closer, okay? If you're out at the gravel bars, you know, and you're at 500 feet, you're going to be considerably closer, right? And that gives you a level of protection if you need to get back to the airport, but it also gets your brain thinking the correct way.
And information whiskey's current. Okay, fire I-1 for 7 right. We have whiskey to upfield.
Anchorage approach, request, or Maule 6147 right, request for exchange.
And call for the frequency change to the call sign again, please.
Maule 6147 Mike, request frequency change.
Maule 6147 Mike, radar service terminated, frequency change approved. Have a good day.
Good day, frequency change approved, Maule 47 Mike. Anchorage approach, November 704 Yankee Pop. Goose Bay traffic, Maule 6147 Mike, 2,500. 4 to the north, inbound for 26, touch and go, Goose Bay. Gonna narrow left downwind, cross midfield, Goose Bay.
Man, that's like some of the best radio I've heard. Because I deal with a lot of jokers out here, you know. It's kind of nice to hear somebody that can talk on a freaking radio. Thank you.
You are welcome.
All right, so what we'll do, the idea here is to kind of tighten up the pattern, okay? And do a couple of, I'll show you a couple of techniques that you go on and play with a little bit and see what you think. The first one is we'll go in and we'll make a low approach, but what I don't want you to do, I don't want you to land. What I want you to do is configure the airplane for landing, come down within about 3 inches of the, of the tail touching the ground, and just fly down the runway and then transition out the other side. Okay? The guys that can do that and kind of move from the left side of the runway to the right-hand side of the runway are the guys that are you can really start stacking on essentially practice hours just by doing that one maneuver. If you can come down and just kind of touch that tail wheel and get back airborne without it stall, you know how it, if you hit a tail wheel and you had too much of pretty simple. Have you ever done this before?
I have, but not with direction.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, you know, if you got some guy that's like, all right, go to the left, all right, and get over to the right, you know, and so we'll go in there and play with that just a little bit. Okay.
Goose Bay traffic, channel 47 Mike, 1601 north. Is going to enter a left downwind 26, touch and go, Goose Bay. Goose Bay traffic, Maule 47 Mike, entering a left downwind for 26, touch and go, Goose Bay.
I know the pattern is, what, 900 out here?
Yeah, it's about 900, yes, that's looking good.
Eagle River traffic, helicopter.
Yeah, so position yourself, you know, so that half a wing strut out every time and make it exactly where you want, right?
Southbound.
Just like that.
Eagle River traffic. 99 Juliet, 900 East Bank, mount the Big Sioux for the north end of the Great Lake.
So right here, you can see how it's moved in on you. Yep. That's because we're not descending at a rate to keep it at that half a wing strut.
Southwest, northeastbound.
That's how you kind of solidify your rates of descent out here. Okay.
Goose Bay traffic, Maule 47 Mike, left base and final 26, touch and go, Goose Bay.
So, what Chet told me, put in your last notch when you know that you have the runway
1200 southeastbound.
to make the runway.
Sure. Yep.
So I want to take everybody's direction.
But remember, when you're low, you have to change that up just a little bit, because if you're like in a really tight situation, you might have to do it on base. But if you do that half a wing strut out, just keep in mind that you're always in a position to hit the runway. Okay.
So
unless you're in Cherokee 6.
What I also do is I don't put in any trim, because I want to be able to relax the controls and have it settle and not have to push down and fight it from jumping up in the air. Is that something?
Yeah, some guys, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just how much, you got to ask yourself how much trim you have in the airplane. May I see just a little bit here?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, heck, you betch 200. Yeah, that's awesome, right? Yeah, so just bring it right on down to the runway. If we touch, it's okay. Remember to breathe. And then what we do is we just kind of, yeah, just like that. Now if it touches, it's going to stall you out. So go ahead and just give her a little bit of power. Let's see if we can get airborne here just a little bit. Okay, now pull the power right back out. There you go. Take a glance at your airspeed indicator.
Goose Bay traffic.
Look out the left side. Look out the right side.
Southwest.
Okay, let's go.
Where's that mall at?
Oh, nice on the, wonderful job on the flaps.
I should have taken, well, I was too low to take them out down there.
Yeah, you're too low to take them out. Nope, that's the thing. Just take off with full flaps.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Goose Bay traffic, channel 47 Mike. I extended my takeoff. It'll be in a long left downwind for 26, touch and go, Goose Bay.
Okay, Jeff, if you're up for it, let's do that one more time, okay?
Yep.
Viper 88 Mike, southern tip of the farm to 1200 for power line bend, switching.
So basically you're bisecting the strut in half with the crossing of the runway.
That's right, yep. on basically all 3 legs.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over here.
And there's nothing wrong with setting up your airplane in the wintertime. You want to start all your sea gumps and all that crap, you know, earlier than in the summertime. Just because it's so cold out.
Goose Bay traffic, Tamil 47 Mike, left downwind, left in or left base for final 26, touch and go Goose Bay.
Ship 2 Delta is crossing. Stu, about 3 up from the confluence, 1.1 westbound.
So when I'm turning left base, then the end of the runway is halfway, right?
Then the end of the runway is halfway for you, yep. Put you a little close, but not bad. But you got to get used to coming out of the air a little bit. You know, that's the way it is. All right. So when you're out here by yourself, play with that a little bit and see what you think. You know, get used to it. Just another tool. All right. Now, when you're coming into land here, see how the nose is kind of pointed down?
Yep.
Watch when we add power, how far it comes up. It coming up already?
Yep.
Now as you add power, it really comes up.
Feel the tail.
Yeah, can you feel that tail? There's the right tire. Pedal power. Okay, pull it right back out again. Okay, try and move it over to the right side. Now look out the left-hand side just a little bit, okay? Okay, let's go. Full power, max power, flaps 20. There you go, very nice. Oh yeah, I think you got that dicked. All right, so on this next one, what we'll do is we're just gonna go make a little longer final.
Traffic on 990, it's 1,000, 3 miles west.
For another exercise. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set us up kind of in that condition in a little bit of a descent with a little bit more power and see if we can't get that nose to kind of come up a little bit.
Anyone know on .9 if that TFR is in effect by Elmendorf?
Huh. TFR at Elmendorf.
Yeah, I show that it is active.
Okay, I didn't know how to read my GPS and red meant active and whatnot.
Yeah, try the pattern, say 600 and see what you get.
Headed westbound, 500.
Do it half that wing straight coming down here.
Goose Bay traffic, Tamil 47 Mike, left downwind 26, touch and go Goose Bay.
Eagle River traffic.
So as
extended a bit?
Yeah, so as the lower we get, you have to kind of, you have to push it out just a little bit, just for playing. But if you're doing like tight bush work and stuff like that, you're going to land. I just keep it on that 45. Bam, 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 What we're going to do is we're going to have fun slowing the airplane down, taking some nervousness about getting the airplane slow.
Goose Bay traffic, Tamil 47 Mike, turning left base for final 26, touch and go Goose Bay.
Alright, so short field takeoff and landings, we got to put our flaps on a little earlier.
Okay.
If we're just normally flying around, put your last notch of flaps on when you got the runway ready, especially with passengers. Okay, so turn your final, now start slowing your airplane up to about 50.
Traffic,
Okay. 50, oh yeah, slow right on down.
1,200 inbound Lake Hood.
Good. this is what people really get uncomfortable with, right? As you can probably tell, just by yourselves. Okay,
Romeo.
so the nose is coming up. Now add that power and let the nose come up just a little bit more. There you go, butts. Yeah, can you feel you're coming into that right-hand side, that right-hand rudder just a little bit? So go ahead, just keep on using that rudder now. Add just a little bit of power. Okay. And again, try not to move your head. Use your eyeballs to look out the sides of the airplane a little bit. In fact, if you have to position your head to the left just a little bit, kind of get used to doing that. Because you can see out the side. Okay. Try to add a little power. Still sinking. There you go. And then just wipe your power off, and bam, airplane down, right? And then of course, keep that stick back as much as you can.
So stick back?
Yeah, always remember with short field takeoff and landings, what guys are like, oh, I wheel landed all the time. Well, they're not really wheel landing it. What they're doing is they're full stall landing the airplane and then using the brakes and stuff to come back up on the wheels. That's not a wheel landing. It's kind of an abortion of both. I do it too. Okay.
A little heavier in here with you.
Yeah, well, I'm 220 pounds. All right, what'd that do for your senses?
It was good. I needed that. Because that's what I...
Want to try one more?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you can start feeling when it's starting to pay off on, you're starting to get airflow separation. You can feel it in this airplane because your right foot starts to go to the floor, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think what I don't want to happen is to stall like 30 feet above the ground and then just like nosedive in.
Yep.
Or just drop.
Or drop, right. Yeah.
Well, Geoff 2 Delta's crossing yet, 2 downstream, Big Bend, westbound.
Yeah, that's the problem with this short field takeoff and landing stuff, you know. You're always so, you know, it's always a full flap dragging in approach, you know. And it's not normal to how we normally operate, you know. But this is the bottom side. We're just playing with the bottom side. You don't have to be that slow. But it's about recognition. You can see that nose came way up.
Yeah.
You can feel yourself kind of trying to get you're fighting for information.
30 Romeo, mounted a little
Yeah.
at 1,200 feet, headed to Liquid.
So if you have a whole bunch of knowns, then you don't have to fight for it so much.
So you're saying put in my last notch earlier?
Like just a smidge earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. If you know you got the runway made. That's an old Bush thing with airplanes that didn't run so good. But if you go out to say Western Alaska, all those 207 guys, as they turn final flap comes on, the power comes in because they trust the engines a lot more than they trust themselves.
Goose Bay traffic, 10 mile 47 right, turning left base for final touch and go, Goose Bay.
That's slower than you've ever been for a long time, huh? There's 50.
That's 52 or whatever on... Yeah, actually.
Yep. And I'm not saying you got to fly this slow all the time, especially if you got people on board. This is just you and me out here.
I just want to get some skills built. I want to get some confidence built, and I don't want to practice something that is wrong.
Yep. And just remember, you can always recover by flooring it. It's full power, right? And let the rest be damned, even if you touch the runway. So it feels like a little saddle right here in the Maule, right?
Yep.
Right after that, it starts to just pay out on you. So that's where you got to add your power. Keep adding power. Don't get it too slow. Keep adding power. Keep adding power. Now, if your foot is really starting to get to the right, then you know that you're too slow. Okay. Power to idle. Volume. Okay. Good to learn the old girl just a little bit there, huh?
Yeah.
So anyway, like I say, that's you and me having fun in the airplane. So you don't have to be that slow, but go out and practice it by yourself a little bit. When you roll like this when you come off the ground. Give it a little bit of roll.
Kind of like a float plane?
Yeah. That's a Maule thing. And a Stinson. And a 100-horse T-craft. Well, what'd you think of that? There's a few things to go play with, huh? Go play with those for a while.
Yeah, right on.
All right, let's go do something fun.
All right, what's that?
I'm not sure. Go take a look at your strip here real quick.
All right, so this is, I'm glad that we're doing this because, and I say this, is because it rained yesterday. And I had full confidence that it was dry, you know, when I went out there the other day, and it rained like hell. And so, when you're dragging the strip for the first time, right?
Yep.
What do you do?
What I do is, may I have control of the airplane
You have
for just
controls.
a second? Okay, so the first thing I do is I get a notch of flaps in this thing. Got a bad elbow. So, I'll come down nice and slow, you know, approach speed. And I'll come down to the air, you know, when I'm looking at a spot, what I'm looking for right now is I never land on the first one, okay? I just simply take a peek at it. Like right now, I'm looking to see if there's water out here. That means there's water pretty close. I'm looking at the color of it, the texture of it, but I never fly right over the top of it on my first time.
You're looking, you want to see the runway. You want to see where your landing zone is.
I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for basically the runway condition and a place to crash in case it all goes bad. Okay? So to do that, I have to get over to the side, right? There it is. There's the side. Right? Looking good, right? Now the next time when I go up is I'll just kind of get the airplane kind of going around here, right? See those tracks down there?
Yeah.
See
Those are muddy tracks.
Yeah, were they there before?
I don't think
Who
so.
knows, right?
Yeah. They could have been. There's cracks in them.
Cracks in them. Now the second time, especially if it's been in a really shitty runway I haven't been into before, the second time I'll go over strictly for the approach. Okay? Second one, I'll build my approach. So, all right, so I'm going to come in here, and can you pull that up for me? I can. My elbow's frickin' shot. Too much drink.
So on your settings, you got the prop. So just push that in.
Just push it in.
Okay.
Yep, just push it in. Because you're underneath governing range anyway. And then on this, remember these vernier throttles? They've killed a few guys. So I come down here and I take a peek at it, right? I come down here early. I start bringing the nose up. I add power, and I'll just come down like this. And I'll just touch it like that. And then I go airborne again, max power, and I get flaps 20. Come right back out of it. I'll go back around, I'll take a look at that track and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Okay? You'll see how this is all done under 200 feet.
Well, that's what I was doing the other day. I was like, just doing low, like figure eights and just doing the same things. Left and right, left and right.
That's right, Geoff. You know, fulls rush in. So now you can kind of see, because I just jammed one tire in instead of two. Everybody puts two in it. I'm going to put one in it so you can see what it looks like.
Southbound over the
Like it's still pretty good, doesn't it? Okay.
I really couldn't tell. Was it?
Doesn't it feel nice having those flaps in there?
Yeah. So is that the
9 or 6 uniform more.
If you can't see it, it's probably hard. Right? Okay, so at that point, then I go ahead and land.
Okay.
You have control of the airplane.
I've got control.
But anyway, that's how I do it. You don't have to go land or anything. But that's how I go do it. Now, I always, if I am touching down, remember, you can punch out any freaking time you want.
Just gonna...
Yeah, give it a shot. was easier from my side because I could see on the top of the airplane. There it is. Oh, look at the tire. Tire looks pretty dry. Of course, that's got me on my nose a couple of times, but it's not a 100% thing, dude.
I guess it flips up mud onto your wing. There's a good chance that it's a little soft.
Yep, it's a little soft. A little bit of wind out here too, isn't there?
A little bit. It was blowing this direction yesterday or whenever that was.
Mile traffic 69 Quebec 3 to the north, inbound landing water west.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, looks good. Boy, that is flat as a hot cake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect. I want to do a landing.
Give her a shot?
Yeah.
That's the spirit. Yeah, so in the real soft stuff, I'm always just keeping my, if it's questionable, my tail is starting to be trending towards the dirt, you know?
Mile traffic, Quebec 45 right, downwind landing on the water west, 6 miles.
So can I do what?
Yeah, so I positioned myself definitely lower.
Okay, so this is what I was doing the other day. I was coming in. I was bleeding my speed off out here.
Yep.
My goal was to touch right at the grass.
6 mile traffic,
Oh,
Quebec.
that was perfect.
Right, base, final landing water west, 6 miles.
Just on that landing alone, I'd hire you.
Right on. Well, what other tips or tricks or whatever? I just want to fly with you, man.
Yeah. So, now one thing that I like to do, now that we know that that's hard down there, let's go around and get yourself lined up and kind of do the same thing, but this time have just a little bit more power on, a little bit more speed, okay?
Okay.
And we're gonna land on the left wheel, and then we're gonna roll it over to the right wheel. Okay?
Is this with one notch flaps or?
Yeah, 1 notch flaps.
Okay.
And the idea here is because that will help you you'll be like, if you can get really proficient at that, you'll have better rudder control than anybody out there in the mall. Okay? I like to do about, like on long runways and stuff like that. Just take the time to go out there and just get used to the bottom end of the airplane.
Goose Bay traffic, Tan Maule 47 right, maneuvering in the flats just west of Goose Bay.
Yeah, if it looks like it's too short, just try and roll it on the left-hand wheel all the way down. If it doesn't look good, punch out.
Now, do I get into a kind of a slip attitude to begin with?
You wait till you're just about ready to kind of a flare, like a wheel landing, and then you gotta You got to think about just where that's at. So yeah, slow right on down to about 70. Wipe some power off there. There you go. So just leave it straight, just like you're normally coming in. Okay. Then as soon as you get close to the ground, a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, about right there. Just start rolling it over. Now we got a little left rudder. Okay, let's go. All right, roll it flat and off we go. Very nice.
Here, will you do one? Can I watch you?
Yeah. Okay.
I have control. Controls.
Is that fun?
Yeah, it is. When I was doing my training with a guy named Ron, somebody at Land and Sea in that little blue Citabria.
Oh, yeah, little blue Citabria.
And he was having me do it. It was like our simulated crosswind.
Sure.
And so he would show me, and I'm like, that's like magic.
Yeah, the guys that are good, there's some of those guys are pretty darn good doing that stuff, you know.
And 96 uniform confluence for Anchorage.
All right, so I'm just going to kind of slow the bird down here. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. When I'm in these turns here, I'm always letting the nose kind of fall just a little bit, because you trim the airplane for your approach speed, right? Which is, say, 70, and then you slow up to 65. So it's always going to be, want to fly its trimmed airspeed, which means the nose is always going to go down, right? That way you know, and pretty soon you, by not setting the trim like you're doing, you're discovering that you can kind of feel if you're too nose high, too nose low, okay? All right, so I just simply come in. Try and get a finger on this thing here. A little bit more smooth with it. All right, so here we come down here. Right on the end, say, okay? Now, I know that it's going to touch. All right, so there it is, right there. Now, as soon as I had power, you feel the tail pop up?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you go to the other side, that makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. And never be in a hurry to run the airplane off, you know. Take it all the way to the end of the runway if you have to.
So just rock it back and forth?
Yeah, just take it on one. You have control?
Okay, I've got control.
Try that once.
So not necessarily landing on one wheel.
Yeah, it's just a matter of trying to gain rudder control. You want the airplane going straight down the runway.
With the power line at 500.
And a little on the left, and a little on the right. If you got a long enough runway, go to the left and then the right and the back, you know? And pretty soon, add a little power, take a little power out, and you can get a real good idea what this airplane's doing once you touch down. Again, that's one of those things, if you build that in your brain is always going to know that that's there. You don't have to fuck with it, you know? It's kind of like an emergency maneuver. You keep doing that down there like that, as long as you can get close to the runway, your auto responses will take over for you. Your brain is like, oh God, I don't want to die. Works really good in airplanes and in strip joints.
There you go.
Gotta remember to breathe. Gotta remember to breathe. Lots of breathing. Whew, I can do it myself because I talk so freaking much. Yeah, so get yourself slowed way down. And it's got a couple of ear-busting little pieces down here, doesn't it? Whew. Yeah, now just kind of keep it, yeah, there you go. Lots of aileron. Got a little power. All right, try to go to the left side real quick.
I'm not going.
All right, there we go. Give her gas, Flort. There you go, good. Oh my God, I wonder what the rich people are doing.
Complaining about us. Now, what I want to be aware of is I don't want to get too ballsy and think, oh, you know, start dragging the wing in the mud.
That's an issue. Yep, definitely an issue. That's kind of why we play this. Can't get it too low, but remember, if you're looking around like you're doing, you won't let that happen. There's a very uncomfortable spot if you do it too low, right?
Exactly. So, I think I was too slow. Do you agree?
A little slow, yep. Plus we have a couple different dynamics going on out.
Goose Bay traffic today.
That's a nice speed right there.
Calling 707 Romeo Echo.
Yeah, 7 Romeo Echo, just crossing the shoreline, about a mile north of Goose Bay.
Go a little higher in the
A
tail.
little bit behind you. Switch to 12460.
Good. Boom. Yeah. Right now you're better with the Maule than about everybody I've flown with so far this year. Okay.
Yay!
All right. Very nice. So let's go ahead and just land back there and come to a complete stop. Okay, roger that. Because the next thing that we're going to do, adventure, is going to require some thinking, and it's hard to do it while you're flying.
And 96 Uniform, gas line Lake 1.8 for Lakewood.
One problem you'll see is when on these little mud things like this, little patties, is that they feel pretty good right up until you time you to stop. So, but we haven't had enough rain to really probably soften it up. If you feel it start digging in, all you can do is floor it and get the tail way down.
I think I learned on that last flap handle brake to get this a little slower than what I was trying to pull before, like trying to pull second notch about midway.
Yep. Oh yeah, see, you've given yourself a nice long final. You have time to stabilize and breathe. I feel better already, gotta do that again. Oh yeah, that's the answer right there. All right. Nice job. So, all right, as we attack, we'll taxi back here. And, unless you gotta take a leak or something. How's it feeling out there?
I don't feel too bad.
Actually feels
Pretty solid, probably just moist.
yeah. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off without ever raising the tail, okay?
Okay.
Just like this thing is super freaking muddy, okay? So, we used to practice this back when, because this is the only way you can get out of some of that super mucky crap. But the idea here is to keep the tail on the ground until it takes off.
So you're just maintaining the angle of attack until it's fast enough to go.
Until it's fast enough to go. And sometimes it's surprising to people just how well that works. Like 180 guys, 185 guys, they're always, you know, the race planes guys are raising their tails. But we're not racing planes, we're just simply trying to get it out of the buck. Okay? Now once we get in the air, what I would like to do is climb up to about 1,500 feet, and we're going to talk about pivot altitude here for just a second. Pivotal altitude is, it has to do with, pivotal altitude is like a commercial maneuver, you know, dealing with pivotal altitude. And what it is that, you know, we do these 8s on pylons, 8s around pylons, all whatever the crap, you know, and it has to do with this pivotal altitude, but they never explain what it is or what it's doing to you. What it's doing to you is it's messing with your brain. So imagine, if you will, you're at, say, you know, 1,500 feet, and you're coming down out of the air, right? And then you see a moose, and you start turning around the moose. Pretty soon, and if you can visualize, the ground goes underneath you, sky goes above you, ground underneath you, sky above you, and you're turning, and pretty soon, the ground below you will stop, and it'll start rising back up towards you. Anybody that has a natural sense to them, what they do is they start turning, especially like in a right-hand turn, they'll start turning the airplane away from the ground, which means they start adding start pulling back, and they add a little left aileron or something like that, but they might just continue their turn on by adding a little bit more rudder, okay? That's bad. What's even worse is when they decide to turn out of it, they'll come out, or they'll add left-hand rudder or just turn left. Remember, stall and spins. Most of the time, airplanes with VGs, you have a little tough time unless you aft-load them to get them to spin to the right, okay? Most of the time, they'll go to the left pretty easy, which your airplane naturally goes to the left anyway because of the rigging, and which makes it just a hair little more susceptible to the left turning problem. Stall spin. So, would you agree, let's put it that way, if you're flying level and you make a left-hand turn, okay, that's a left-hand turn. If you're turning to the right in a kind of a turn and you turn flat, that's also a left-hand turn. Okay? So what you have to be careful that your airspeed is good, especially if you're in a right-hand turn and you're rolling out to level. If you're real slow, that's a problem. Okay, so what happens with guys is they're up at 1,500 feet and they're in a maybe right-hand turn or left-hand turn, and they're coming down and they don't recognize this pivotal altitude, which is a function of your airspeed and some other factors, right? And there's a calculation to it. But basically, in this airplane at approach speed, it's going to be right around, say, 600, 800 feet, it's right in that neck of the woods, okay? So after we get airborne, what I'd like to do is kind of climb out here somewhere, and we got the perfect flat area to do it, and we're going to put the airplane into just a nice, easy, shallow bank, and we're going to see if we can actually detect that movement. Okay? That was a lot of explanation for an easy thing.
It's all good. I do have to pee, though, now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, let's go air out, huh?
Ready? So we're just doing one?
Yeah, just take, this time just kind of keep the yoke back. Try not to let the tail wheel come off the ground. And you know, figure out what your crosswind's doing. Get a little crosswind correction.
Kind of coming this way.
Yep.
Okay, ready?
Yep. Sweet. When it's sandy and or a lot of grass, stuff like that, use that technique. That works good. The old soft field.
So we're climbing to 1,500, yes?
Yeah, climb to 1,500. We can just kind of keep it in here. Yeah, some guys are real good. I've never been really good at seeing it myself, but I can kind of find it. But there's some people that can just instantly detect that it's happening.
Goose Bay traffic, Maule 47 Mike, over the flats, ascending from 500 to 1,500 above the flats. Goose Bay.
That thing's like a dinosaur. Look, he's even got bags packed on his back legs.
Well, they're not very bright.
Yeah, so as we climb up here, you can kind of see, you know, the sky is kind of moving this way right now.
Yeah.
Ground's kind of moving underneath you, obviously, right? But thinking about it from a mental thing versus just a physical going underneath you, if that makes a darn bit of sense. Oh, there's a guy right under your 11 o'clock.
Romeo's crossing a little Sioux, a few miles up from the lodge, 800 northwest now.
There he is. Yep. Okay, man, that's good enough. All right, now just kind of we might have to make a couple of revolutions out here, but let's start kind of heading down. And
down, okay.
Yeah, you know, the slower you keep the airplane, it's almost easier.
I throw some flaps in there?
Yeah, throw a little flappage in there. There you go. Now turn to the left, turn to the right.
And we're descending.
Yep. Yeah, we're just gonna go down to about probably 600 feet, something like that. It's gonna takes a little time to do this. Yeah, so as we go down, just kind of recognize how that ground moves. It's, you know, kind of up front here, you can kind of see how it moves underneath the nose.
I want to see where that plane is. Okay, or at least it's clear over here.
Okay. And I'll keep my eyes peeled to you.
And I'm watching the sky go that way.
Yeah, you're kind of watching the sky go this way and you're watching the ground move under you. What we're doing is we're trying to find that point where the ground quits moving and starts coming up towards the airplane, okay? Basically at approach speed.
So we're kind of just going down then in a turn. Is that what you're?
Yep, we're going down in a turn, and you can still see how the ground, the rate that it's going underneath us, kind of looks like it's starting to slow down a little bit.
1,000 switching.
You look real carefully, kind of out in that neck of the woods there, okay? You can kind of see how the ground is starting to slow the rate at which it seems like it's coming underneath the airplane.
Yeah.
And as we continue our turn, at some point, you can almost feel it starting to come up this way. You look out there now, you can see how it's starting to come this way.
Yep.
Okay.
That's called a pivotal.
Yeah, I'm calling it pivotal altitude, but it's a function of your airspeed and your rate of closure to the ground. And depending on where you're looking, because most guys are kind of looking right out in this neck of the woods, pretty soon you can see how now the ground is kind of doing this number, and it's not going like this like it was.
Right.
Okay? And that's enough to pretty soon you're trying to get the nose, you'll feel the nose kind of, you know, dipping, and pretty soon you'll find yourself just stepping on the inside rudder pedal, and you'll try to, because what that does is it slows that reaction.
Okay.
Down. Okay, go ahead and recover. Anyway, that's all I got. So, but that is something that that we as a pilot group ought to be talking about, is that function there just a little bit. So can you imagine if you're heavily loaded, you got full of moose or something like that, or you see something on the ground, and you're in a right-hand turn, and you're looking at this thing, and pretty soon you got the airplane a little crossed up. Now in Super Cubs, as soon as the stick hits them like right here, I know that airplane's about ready to go upside down. In a ball, I don't know. You know, it's just you got to kind of look at the ball once in a while. And that's what guys are talking about. They said that's why you should not just keep on going around and stuff like that. Well, that's true. But you should be going round while you're descending, because that is going to that's something. Now that you know what it is and you're aware of it, well, then you can just simply just stop your turn. You know, look around a little bit, then keep on descending.
2,500.
Yeah, guys in Super Cups, man. Whew. That's how they're killing themselves. And so what they do is they end up stall spinning the airplane, pulling out of the turn. They scare themselves. And, boy, that was a slow reaction. Anyway, they scare themselves and they turn out too fast, and that's when they stall the airplane. Of course, they're just too close to the ground to recover. Alrighty. Well, if you think that was a pretty good hour,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the trip, man. That was a blast.
Thank you, man.